Maybe. It's the best way to start your NFL Sunday. Welcome everybody back to Sunday Morning Slants. I'm your host, Matt Watson, joined alongside Mason and Ethan. How are we tonight, gentlemen?
Tired.
Doing good,
Yeah,
doing
man.
good.
If you stayed up for that Eagles-Packers game last night, you're probably feeling it right now because I know we both are. Like, holy shit. What a game to watch, too.
I got a nap this afternoon.
See, there you go. That's the way you do it.
Yeah.
But yeah, we'll be talking about Eagles-Packers in a little bit here. But if you're new to Sunday Morning Slants, what we like to typically do to kick things off is just a recap of the previous week of the NFL. So we're going to all go around talking about a game that we watched over the weekend, some of our takeaways from it, and what that means for the rest of the NFL. So, Ethan, I'll start with you. What was a game that you watched the past weekend, and what were some of your takeaways?
I didn't think that there was a whole lot of crazy games this week. Nothing that felt really super league shaking this week, but probably one of the games that stood out to me the most was the Chargers and the Steelers game on Monday night or on Sunday night. I mean, what is it? The Chargers seem to have kind of really stabilized, and they kind of seem like they're going kind of up. And it seems like the Steelers, after what were they 4-1 to start the season?
They were 4-1 to start the year.
So they've lost 3 of their last 4 now, and it seems like they're kind of headed in the opposite direction. But like this was a game that people kind of, I think before this game, a lot of people would have thought that these two teams were like kind of in similar kind of brackets in terms of skill and kind of public perception. But I really think that, I mean, they're still the Chargers, but I think that this kind of puts them into showed that the Chargers are a little bit more serious maybe of a playoff team than maybe they've been in the last, like even last year or in the past with Herbert. And the Steelers, it's just, I mean, it's Aaron Rodgers again. Like it's just the whole thing. Like the game, they're just, I don't know, like where were they down? Was it 25 to, it wasn't 25-0. I think it was 25-3 before they even got a touchdown, right?
Yeah, it was a garbage time touchdown.
It was like a total garbage time touchdown that didn't matter. So yeah, I just think I think that's kind of, I don't think that's not a game that's probably going to decide maybe the 1 seed in the AFC. But I mean, of the games this week, they probably had the most playoff implications. Like the Chargers now could realistically have a chance at being, I don't know, maybe probably like a 3 seed, right? Maybe a 2 seed, I guess, if they can beat out the Chargers for the division. But the Steelers, I think that they're still winning their division, but they're really, I think the Ravens I think in 2 weeks, we're going to talk about the Ravens really putting the pressure on the Steelers. So that's my game for this week.
Well. I wonder who might have come on this very, program.
Yeah, I have a memory of that.
That the Baltimore Ravens were going to come for the division title, and that the Steelers weren't that good. I wonder how that's shaken out. But I agree with you in the sense that the Chargers, this was just a quality win overall. I think we're starting to get to that point of the season where the teams with great defenses are really starting to shine out and kind of prove that they're really quality on defense. We saw it with the Eagles-Packers game. I think we saw it in this game, just the shutdown of the Steelers by the Chargers. And it's a conference win, and you're right. It stacks another win. Because if you lose this game at home and you fall to a 6-4 record, you're still in the wild
card stuff is just growing at that point.
Exactly. Yeah, you're not looked at as a top of the line contender at that point. You look like you're a wild card team, a quality team, a playoff team. But I don't think anybody would really believe that the Chargers were a Super Bowl caliber team. So I think it was just a quality win for them overall. They took care of business and they moved along. And you're right. If they're right there with the Denver Broncos for the AFC West. They have the head-to-head over both the Broncos and the Chiefs at this point. So for the Chargers, I mean, they're sitting pretty in a really good spot here.
Yeah.
But I think it's more to say, the Chargers are a legit team, and then the Steelers are just kind of starting to fade. So I think the Aaron Rodgers experiment has gone pretty much exactly how I expected it to. And they're an average team, and their record's starting to show that. So good win for the Chargers.
Yeah. No, yeah, like it's just like I don't know, like it's kind of 2 teams that are, like you said, this is the time of the year where teams kind of tend to separate. So now if you're 500, if you're 4-5, 5-5, 5-4, whatever it's going to be, this is the kind of the time of the year where you're either gonna, like, you have to start stacking wins, or if you don't, then you're gonna eventually fall out of the playoff picture. So we'll see what happens if the Steelers can. This is a game where it's like in Pittsburgh, like the alarm bells are definitely ringing, and you should probably if they don't win, I don't know who they play next week, but if they fall to 5-5, I mean they're really
I think
falling
it's
out of the
Steelers
playoff
Ravens
picture.
this upcoming weekend.
Oh, is it actually? Okay, then yeah, that's
So a
yeah.
Baltimore win. I mean, I could double check that.
Bengals Steelers.
Is it Bengals? Oh, okay. Well,
Yeah,
then still division game, and the
yeah,
Bengals
still
more
division
capable of
game.
winning that. So
Mm-hmm.
it'll be interesting to see. But
Yeah, yeah.
all right, yeah. Well, moving on, Mason. I'll throw it over to you. What was a game that you watched over the weekend, and what were some of your takeaways from it?
All right, so we're going to talk some AFC East ball with the
Ooh.
Bills and the Dolphins. This is just, I think this is a game that the Bills just need to take care of business, and they just didn't. And I think it has huge implications for them in the playoffs. You already have the head-to-head loss against the Patriots, and I think at this point, if you're the Bills, you just had to keep pace with them until you face them again, and then hope that you win that game and kind of even things out. But at this point, I mean, unless the Patriots crater, it's their division to lose. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
they have a good lead, and they already hold the one win against Buffalo at this point, and the rest of their schedule is pretty much cupcakes. Other than the Bills again and the Ravens, which are back to back in December for them, we're talking Jets, Bengals, Giants, Jets, Dolphins. I mean, unless like I said, unless somehow they just start falling apart, I think at this point it's almost I, I won't say it's wrapped up, but like it's pretty damn close for the
Yeah.
Patriots at this point in the AFC East. And for the Bills, yeah, I mean, you had to go down to Miami to take care of business. The Dolphins have been flailing all year, and
For like 2 years, really, at this point.
yeah, they've essentially just been like cratering. And I mean, I guess it was kind of a letdown spot after last week and the big win against the Chiefs, but you just have to go down to Miami and take care of your business. It felt like every time the Bills had something going in this game, they just shot themselves in the foot. Just untimely turnovers in spots when they finally, I mean, they couldn't move the ball like for a quarter and a half. And then all of a sudden, when they finally do, then they start turning it over. And I mean, it's not like Miami played that good of a game. I mean, Tua had 2 picks. I mean, HN just ran all over the Bills, which isn't a great look. But yeah, I mean, I don't think Miami went out there and played their best game. I think the Bills just kind of beat up on themselves. And I mean, even throughout the game, it kind of felt like, oh, like the Bills are going to come back and get into this. And they just never could. They just kept shooting themselves in the foot. So yeah, I don't know. It's looking rough for the Bills now. I mean, not having home field advantage is going to be not great for them. I think that's kind of something that you are banking on, especially with that first game of the year against the Ravens, and kind of looking at how we thought things were going to be shaping up after that point, and thinking that could be a huge tiebreaker for them. At this point, it's looking like they're going to be a wild card team, and I don't think they're going to. I mean, obviously statistically, but just I don't think they're going to have a lot of success playing on the road in the playoffs.
Yeah, I mean, like you said, this is a game that Buffalo had to win because now you're in a sense 3 games back in New England for the division. And I mean, I personally thought the Patriots would be good this year. I didn't think they'd be this good, and I think their win over Tampa Bay was a statement win. Drake May didn't even play that great, and they still had a really solid game overall. So I think this really is it's New England's division to lose at this point. I think if these teams played each other again, I'd pick the Patriots over the Bills just by the way that the Bills are playing. I talked a couple of weeks ago about how I felt like the Packers were coasting. I feel like the Bills are coasting. They feel like a team that is just waiting for the playoffs to start, and then maybe they'll ramp up and flip a switch. But let's be real here. Like, how many times do we say teams are going to just wait to get in the playoffs and then flip the switch, and then they never flip, right?
It never happens.
They are. Yeah.
Yeah.
So the Bills need to go on a heater, and their schedule is not that tough. I do think. Well, I say that, and then they've lost games like to the Dolphins, and they lost to the Atlanta Falcons a few weeks back. So say that, and then they lose these games, but they're all winnable games the rest of the season. They didn't use the momentum of beating the Chiefs at all. Like I don't.
No,
understand.
just totally evaporated.
Yeah, like I don't know how you followed it up with a dud in Miami, but they did.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're Buffalo, you need to get on your A game, and you need to get on your A game fast, because if not, you're staring down the barrel of a wild card, round. Which it's ironic this year how we might have a situation where the Bills, the Chiefs, and the Ravens are all the away team, and wild card weekend, going to New England, going to Los Angeles, going to Denver. So like these are all very real possibilities. So it's kind of fun how the league's flipped a little bit, but it's still some of the same players. So I think that's cool.
Yeah, I totally whiffed on the Patriots this year. I did not see them be like people. I feel like they were like a trendy pick for most improved team or probably like the biggest increase in wins, and I thought maybe they would be like an 8-8 team at like best case, but
I mean, the
they're
schedule
already at
certainly
8
helps
wins.
them.
The schedule definitely helps them out. I mean, you playing the Dolphins and the Jets 4 times.
I mean, their best win is pretty much against Buffalo, right? I mean, I guess it's Buccaneers game, but the Bucks have a bunch of injuries as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, listen, you got to play who's on the schedule. I guess that's the old
Yeah, they're
adage,
winning.
So.
They're beating the teams in front of them. Does not matter how it looks. They're getting the job done. And you're right, Tampa Bay, which I mean, we're not talking about the Bucks right now, but I got to give them a lot of credit for being in that game without 2 of your 3 wide receivers and your starting running back, amongst other injuries that they have. But offensively, they're missing so many weapons, and Baker still had them in that game late. So I got to give mad props to Baker on that. But all right, so the game that I watched over the weekend and I want to talk about, and I know I keep hammering on the Baltimore Ravens, and I'm going to ride that because they were my Super Bowl pick. And the start of their season, I just felt was, just unlucky. You get the Chiefs and the Bills to start, and then Lamar goes down. It couldn't have started anywhere for the Baltimore Ravens. No. And they're finally back in a spot, thanks to being in a weaker division this year. They're back in a spot where they're in the hunt for the division, just where I thought they would be. So they are a team that is flipping the switch, and they're moving forward. So I want to talk about this game, but not for Baltimore. I want to talk about Minnesota. They fall to 4-5. JJ McCarthy was the starting quarterback, and I know he's only played a handful of games this year. They had Carson Wentz in there for a few games in between. But overall, this is supposed to be JJ McCarthy's team moving forward. They drafted him in the first round of last year. He missed his entire rookie season. So this is, in a sense, his rookie year. And he's playing like it. I think Kevin O'Connell is a great head coach and a play caller. But I don't think he can mask where JJ McCarthy is right now as a quarterback. And it goes back to letting Sam Darnold walk out the door at the start or at the end of last season after he won 14 games. He was a game away from a 15-win season and a bye.
Winning the division.
Yeah, and they were so good last year. And I don't think it was all because of Sam Darnold, but I don't know how you let a guy like that walk out the door. And maybe you could say it was a one-year wonder situation, but looking at him in Seattle, he's been amazing. He's an MVP candidate, and we'll probably talk about him in a little bit when we go over the awards. But
is he objectively better this year than he was last year? Like, probably.
I would think so.
Looking up now, his completion percentage is higher. He'll probably end up with roughly the same touchdown. Like, his touchdown and his interception numbers are kind of on par. He had 12 last year. He has 6 this year. 35 TDs last year, 17 this year at about the halfway point. So that's actually pretty close to being right down the middle. Mm-hmm.
So he's proving to be the Sam Darnold that everybody expected coming out of the draft, and he got unlucky with the Jets and the Panthers, but he's bounced back. I just don't know how Minnesota let him walk out the door. JJ McCarthy melted down in that game, and I mean, a few weeks ago the Ravens were letting up 40 points a game, and they were on pace to let up the most points any team's ever let up. And now they're starting to shore it up a little bit, but McCarthy had 2 really bad interceptions. I don't believe he threw for a touchdown. I just don't think he is capable at this point in his career of leading a team to the playoffs. The Vikings are on the outside looking in, and I just don't see a way that they get in, especially with how stacked the NFC is. And I think the Minnesota Vikings made a mistake by drafting JJ McCarthy and then doubling down on that by letting Sam Darnold walk. They should have just signed Darnold to an extension. They could have kept McCarthy on the bench for a year, maybe just tried to trade him outright and flip him for something and just move on. But they let the better quarterback leave, and it's going to haunt them.
Yeah, I mean, like looking at his stats now, McCarthy, he's like looking at between him and Darnold. It's not it's not a direct comparison, but because they play on different teams, different situations, all that stuff. But this week, McCarthy 20 of 42, 1 touchdown, 2 picks, 1 sack with a rate of 54.5, and then Darnold this week had
probably not that good. I think he only threw
the best
12
game,
times.
yes, but they won 44-22, so he only threw the ball 12 times
after they went up 35-0. Like they were just kind of spamming plays at that point, I don't think he was really locked in at that point. But yeah,
Yeah, not the best comparison this week, but like if you look at if if JJ McCarthy had the game that Darnold had last week, it would still be like, oh, that's one of his better games that he's had so far in his career. So just not even they're just not on the same level like as each other.
I agree. So maybe he'll develop. I'm writing him off. I don't see it in McCarthy, but who am I?
Yeah.
Just a fan. But okay, so that's going to round up our recap from this past week of the NFL. And our next topic tonight is going to be awards. And so what we're going to do is we're going to award the midseason MVP, Offensive Player of the Year, and Coach of the Year. I mean, there's plenty of other awards that are going to get awarded at the end of the season, but these are the three I feel like, in my opinion, are easy for people on the outside. And we're not diving into tape here to just kind of give our overall feedback. So Mason,
we're an eye test kind of pod.
Yeah, we are an eye test pod all the way, and a box score pod. Not an X's and O's pod. But
no.
Mason, I'll start with you though. Most valuable player halfway through the NFL season. If the season ended today, who do you think's MVP?
I'm gonna go with Matt Stafford. I think it's gonna come down to it's just gonna be a quarterback award. I'm sorry for all the Jonathan Taylor lovers out there, but I mean Saquon said, and I know it's a regular season award, but he broke the record for most rushing yards like in a season, including the playoffs. I just don't see it happening for Jonathan Taylor unless like some of these quarterbacks just start dropping off. I think there's a couple in the race. I think you consider Drake May, Sam Darnold, definitely. I mean, it's just going to come down to a quarterback who's on a team with one of the best records in the NFL. But I think in terms of numbers and kind of checking all those boxes, I think Matt Stafford's kind of the cream of the crop right now. Sam Darnold, I think at this point, his team's almost like too good, where last week he didn't really have to do anything. He threw the ball 12 times and had an interception in one of those. So I think his numbers probably aren't going to match up as well. And then Drake May, I think it comes down to the strength of who you're playing. And I think the Rams have a couple better wins and have the opportunity to stack more of these better wins. I mean, on the schedule here, which is something I kind of consider with Jalen Hurts and kind of the stretch that they have against the NFC opponents, which obviously not a great start with the Packers. You got the win, but not a good performance. But kind of thinking similarly with the Rams, you have the Seahawks twice, the Buccaneers, the Lions. So, I mean, these are games that he has the opportunity to be highlighted and shown and face up against these other teams. So I'm gonna run with the odds. If the Rams are playing good right now, I think they'll end up winning most of those games. And I think with the stats to go along with that, Matt Stafford's like a pretty good pick right now.
Yeah, I mean, you can't really doubt it, right? I mean, he's dicing up everybody he plays. But I think he's been pretty. I mean, it's a safe pick, right? I think he's tied for the betting favorite right now with Drake May. So he has, without a doubt, been great.
It's an interesting MVP year because it doesn't really seem like there's a kind of guy that's grabbed it and like ran away with it, or that like it's not like an intense storyline. Because even last year, even though Saquon didn't win it, like at a certain point, it was like he was very much in the narrative, and it was like, oh, is he going to win? Like, are we going to have a running back for the first time in 11 years or whatever it is? Like, it doesn't really seem like, I mean, it's still early-ish in the season, but it doesn't really feel like we're having too much MVP conversation. But I don't really feel like there's a definitive answer here. It seems like there's a pool of maybe like 6 guys that you can kind of pick from that are kind of at the top of their game right now.
Yeah.
Yeah,
and I mean, looking at Drake May, really my issue is like they only have 2 like statement wins, I would say, and the only 2 primetime games that you have left, which I think plays into the MVP a little bit. Like, you know, on a big stage, you want to show out. I mean, they have the Jets and the Giants at home. Those are their only 2 primetime games, a Thursday night, and it looks like I don't know what's December 1st, a Sunday night or a Monday night. Like to me, those just aren't really games that like. It's not like you're matching up against another juggernaut, and that could be like a statement for their resume for MVP. And I think it just comes down to like, unless the Patriots win 14 games and some of the other teams like the Seahawks and the Rams with the Sam Darnold or Matt Stafford fall off and only end up winning like 12 games, I just don't really see him getting the votes that you would expect, I guess.
Yeah, which is fair. And so for my pick, I am going to go with Sam Darnold. And my difference between Darnold and Stafford is that I think Darnold's doing more with less. I do think that both teams have a really solid overall unit from top to bottom. But I think when you look at Stafford's weapons, when he has Puka Nacua and he has Devontae Adams and he has Kyron Williams, versus, I know the Seahawks have JSN, and, JSN is a guy who might win Offensive Player of the Year. They have the shell of Cooper Kupp. I mean, he's really just not the same, and he's at the twilight of his career at this point. And they have some other nice pieces, Kenneth Walker, Zach Charbonnet, but they're not as elite and established as a Nakua, as a Devontae Adams, as Kyron Williams. So I think that benefits Stafford. I also think part of it too, this might be a little bit of an ageist take, but Stafford's been around the block so many times that this is none of this is new to him, right? Like he should be able to pick apart these defenses. And I think with Darnold, despite him being in the league for a while, this is like his first real run as a starting quarterback in consecutive seasons with a legit team, excluding his time with the Jets. So I think Darnold's just doing a little bit more. Well, he's doing about the same with a little bit less in terms of talent. And I think that does have to factor in. I think that if for whatever reason, if JSN went down, I think that Darnold would still be able to deliver. I just think he would have to go that much, above and beyond to compete with what the Rams are doing with Stafford. So that's why I would lean Darnold. But again, like I said, I think Stafford is also a great pick.
Yeah, I don't know. The whole thing with Stafford, I have a hard time. Like, I agree with you. I 100% agree that I would lean Darnold over Stafford. The thing with Stafford, I just have I don't know. Maybe it's like a conception of Stafford. I just am having a hard time actually seeing him being like a front runner in the MVP race for whatever reason it is. I don't know if it's, like I said, he's just been around for forever, so it just doesn't really feel like this is anything necessarily new from him. But I don't know. I just don't think he's a great quarterback. I just don't see him as I think you made the right pick leaning towards Darnold there.
So who would you go with for your MVP?
I went just because I think that this is probably the guy that deserves it the most, but we know he's not going to get it. I picked Jonathan Taylor for MVP. It's, obligatory. There's always got to be someone that has to pick a running back or a wide receiver, even though that's not going to happen. So it was me, but I think out of all the dudes in the NFL, I mean, he has to be the one that's playing the best right now. If you I don't know, if you go on a pure position by position basis, and I mean, he had a show this weekend. I mean, that's probably the best that any NFL player has ever played internationally, right? Like, I can't think of any.
Greatest. It's one of the greatest games, let alone international games. So.
Exactly. Yeah. Like you have to this week, I think is they're 8-2. They all the season is not hanging in the balance, but they have a bad loss against Pittsburgh last week, and then they're struggling against the Falcons. If they lose, all the rumblings are going to start coming up of, is this Colts team actually any good? Are they worse than everyone thought? Blah blah blah. And he just decided we're not going to have this narrative this week. He just decided to just put the whole team on his back, and he ran, what was it, 200? Is it like almost 270 all-purpose yards? Is that what it was?
Yeah, it was like around, I think it was like 250 plus.
Yeah, I think it was 240 rushing yards, and he had a couple receptions for 200 and I don't know, 200 and I think it was in the 70s, but I should look this up. But I think that he's the person in the NFL that's playing the best right now. I don't think that there's anyone, quarterback, running back. I really think that he is the definition of most valuable player right now, and not just most valuable quarterback.
Yeah, I'm with you. Taylor had 244 rushing yards, and he had 42 receiving yards. So 286 total yards.
Even more. We were underselling him.
Yeah, exactly. So nearly hit 3. So an incredible game by him. I had him in a fantasy league, and I still lost.
With the walk-off touchdown too, no less.
Might have it. Yeah, with the walk-off too. Okay, so Ethan's gonna ride with the running back. Unfortunately, it's just not gonna happen in today's climate.
We all know it's not gonna happen, but I'm not gonna bang the drum for saying that it still should happen.
I agree, and I'm proud of you for fighting that good fight, and that's why I have Jonathan Taylor as my offensive player of the year, because it's basically the award that goes to the non-quarterbacks at this point. They should just distinguish MVP as a quarterback award, and then offensive and defensive player. They should just do it that way. They're not going to, but they should. But yeah, everything you just said about Jonathan Taylor, he's been incredible, and I think what he has done in a sense to elevate Daniel Jones's game, you can't say enough about. I think him just being that go-to asset, and when you need it, he'll give it to you. I think that's been huge for Daniel Jones. I think it's been huge for Shane Steichen. I think it's been big for the Colts overall, and it's one of the reasons why they're sitting at top of the AFC right now. So, I think there's a couple other guys who are going to be competing with Taylor for this, but under the assumption he's not going to get the MVP love that he should. I think he is the shoe-in for Offensive Player of the Year. So, Ethan, since you don't have him as you have him as MVP, so who do you have as your Offensive Player of the Year?
So, even though we just said that the Offensive Player of the Year is the best non-quarterback, so I'm going to stick with that actually. So, I'm going to have two non-quarterbacks getting the best two Offensive Player awards. So, I'm going to go with JSN, Jackson Smith-Njigba, for my Offensive Player of the Year. I mean, he's been awesome. I mean, pretty comfortably, I would say he's probably been the best wide receiver in football this year. I mean, talk about, like, they moved on from DK Metcalf and they got better. Like, their receiving room got better because he's getting more opportunities. I mean, he's been awesome to watch. They're going to finish as a top 3 seed in the most likely. If they win, as long as they win their division, they'll be a top 2 or 3 seed in the NFC. And, if there's just something, wide receivers deserve some love too. They don't really get a lot of award recognition. So running backs usually win Offensive Player of the Year more often than wide receivers, it feels like. So just wanted to give some love. I like to do some different picks because I get bored with the picks. I get bored with picking the quarterbacks all the time for every single year. It's like, it's the same dudes most of the time, same people you hear used over and over again. So I like some variety here. Spice of life.
That's fair. Ethan likes to spice it up. That's why I picked the Cardinals and the Panthers to both make the playoffs.
Listen, the Panthers are still in it, and that is my best prediction so far from those two teams.
Well, we'll see. All right, Mason, I'll throw it over to you. So you have Stafford for MVP. Who are you going with for Offensive Player of the Year?
Yeah, I'm just going to go with Jonathan Taylor. Not really much else to add. I think you pretty much covered it. I think I also agree with Ethan. He's probably the MVP this year, but unfortunately the NFL stinks, and they'll just give it to whatever quarterback is being the least mid. So yeah, I mean, I think he's literally running away with the award at this point. So
he's the obvious pick. It's like when all year last year, everyone's like, oh, Saquon for MVP, but in your head, that he's just gonna get Offensive Player of the Year.
Yep. Yeah. All right. So Mason, I'll stay with you for the final one, Coach of the Year. Who do you think has stood out amongst the rest?
All right. So I'm going to go back over to Seattle with Matt's MVP, and I'm going to take Mike McDonald as my Coach of the Year. Feels like Coach of the Year has almost become like a rookie Coach of the Year award. I feel like they give it to first-year head coaches a lot. And especially in recent history, unless there's nobody that really stood out, and then you kind of get your Sean McVay's or whoever's just kind of cream of the crop that year.
What veteran coach hasn't gotten a Coach of the Year yet that's having a good year?
I think there's a couple this year, but I just think, Seattle looks awesome, and they're doing it again with Sam Darnold, and I think that plays into it a little bit. I mean, I think that's why I believe the what's his face from the Vikings, did he win it last year?
Oh, Kevin O'Connell.
Yeah.
I actually can't remember who it was.
Pretty sure he did.
Yep, it was Kevin O'Connell.
So, Sam Darnold just wins coaches this award. So that plays into it as well. And I think
that just goes to show you how bad he was on the Jets.
Yeah. And I think kind of playing into the same kind of concept of comparing resumes, I think probably front runner, or definitely, I think I checked the odds earlier, definitely top 3, Mike Vrabel for the Patriots. And I think when you're just going to start comparing resumes and records, I mean, it obviously comes down to who's probably going to end up with the best record, which the Patriots very well could, considering their schedule. But I think you're just going to look at the quality of wins, and Seattle's got a lot of quality wins and more opportunities to make those wins. So again, they have to play the Rams twice, the Colts again, the 49ers, the Vikings. So yeah, I'll go with him. I mean, I think it's I don't know if there's a clear, like somebody's like running away with it, which like it's coach of the year. It's not like a player who has individual stats, but
Yeah.
I would say he's definitely in the running, and I like what Seattle's doing this year, especially compared to. I mean, I don't know, what did they end up with last year? 10 wins.
I think they were 10-7 last year in McDonald's first year and
So
made the playoffs.
Yeah.
But then, if I remember, they got smoked.
So
they've been running that
gonna
9-7 and 9-8 and 10-7 train for a few years
for
now.
a bit, yeah.
So kind of finally breaking through that and looking like they're going to end up with one of these top seeds in the NFC. So yeah, I like him.
All right, Ethan, I'll throw it over to you. Who do you have for your coach of the year?
It's a name that Mason threw out there already. Like I said, I think there's actually been a lot of good coaches this year. There's been a lot of good storylines, a lot of young coaches that are kind of breaking out a little bit. But we're gonna go with an old guy in a new city. I'm going with Mike Vrabel. I mean, he's a great coach. There's no denying it. Everyone knew he was an awesome coach when he was in Tennessee, and they're the Titans. They're just a bad organization at this point. The owner came out; she refused to do trades with the Patriots when Vrabel was there. So he basically just got hamstrung by a bad organization in a bad spot, and everyone knew it was a mistake when they fired him. And he just has come out and just proved why everyone loved him as a head coach the first time around. I mean, that team, they play hard, they play physical. Just look at the difference from nothing against Gerard Mayo last year. But if you just I mean, there's different players on this roster, but there's a lot of overlap too, because you can't replace the whole roster. And I mean, Vrabel is just getting way more out of these dudes than they did last year. And it's another great storyline, former Patriot coming in, bringing his team back to relevance after struggling for the last, I guess, 4 or 5 seasons. So I think he's a great story. I think he's super popular. I think media people love him because he's a good interview. He gives good quotes. I think that players love him because, he's an ex-player and he'll go out there and bang on them with the pads a little bit. And I think that other coaches love him too. I think that he has a lot of ins to get coach of the year this year in terms of voting. And their team is playing awesome. It's the best that they've looked since Brady was there. Even that last year with Brady, the Patriots didn't really look that good. So we'll call it a couple. It's been at least 6 years since they've looked this good.
Yeah, Vrabel and Drake May could be the next Brady Belichick. If we're being completely like, players will want to play for Mike Vrabel, and Drake May looks pretty legit at quarterback. So it could be another 10 years of Patriots winning the division.
Mm-hmm.
I said before the season started, this is it for you, Josh Allen, and the timeline's moving up quite a bit because they don't get it done this year. Now you have a real threat. So that'll be interesting. But now another solid pick. I'm gonna go with Shane Steichen of the Indianapolis Colts.
What
he has done.
I was flip flopping but I almost picked him too.
It's just been it's truly amazing. We talk about Jonathan Taylor being an MVP candidate. That doesn't happen without Shane Steichen, who does call the plays as well as he's the head coach. So I think because he calls plays, because you're seeing a revival of a quarterback in Daniel Jones. Like, this was a dude that was left on the scrap heap, and he has revitalized his career. And it's going to be to the point where Daniel Jones is going to get a long-term extension with the Colts this offseason. Or go to the highest.
It's almost not even a question. It would it's not even like, oh, I don't know. Like, should they do it? Like, it's like obvious at this point. Yeah. It's like, no, you have to get this guy back again.
Which it also goes to show how bad Anthony Richardson really is if this is how good the team is. And he wasn't able to get it done. So a shame there, and I'm sure he'll get a fresh start. But I just think what Steichen's done with the Colts, I think defensively too, they're really, really strong. They don't get enough credit for how good they are on the defensive side of the ball because you have the story of Daniel Jones, the story of Jonathan Taylor, and they don't even really have any premier weapons outside of JT. Pittman's quality, Alec Pierce's quality, Tyler Warren is
like solid players, but it's no superstars.
No superstar. I mean, Warren's probably
outside of
a superstar, but no wide receivers at the very least that are stars. Yeah. So they're all quality guys. There's not a true number one, and they're still getting the job done. So I think what Steichen's done at this point, they're going to win the division. It's just what seed do they finish with, and if they finish with the top like top 3 seed. At this
Yeah.
point, they're going to have a bye. I think Shane Steichen deserves a lot of love, so he would be my pick for Coach of the Year.
Especially after it seemed like he was on the high. I don't know. It's kind of I don't know if they would have fired him with Ballard, but I mean we know Ballard was definitely on the hot seat, and I don't know. It's kind of seemed like he was feeling a little bit of the heat too, and he's just come out here and just responded.
They've hit. They've hit. I mean, taking a tight end in the first round when you didn't have a quarterback, you know,
it's
ballsy.
But it's a decision, but it works.
Paid off. So pretty great for the Colts. So, all right, that's going to do it for this edition of Sunday Morning Slants. Appreciate everybody for tuning in tonight, or if you're checking this out as a regular video platform. This is also available on all podcast platforms, YouTube, anywhere you can find podcasts. We're there. So thank you all for checking us out. We'll be back next Tuesday with another edition of Sunday Morning Slants. So thank you all and have a great night.